Oregon just hit a number that fire officials have been dreading all summer, and it happened before August even started. Statewide totals are now sitting at around 1.7 million acres burned this season, and the state's modern record, set back in 2024, is 1.93 million acres. That gap is closing fast, and here's the part that should really worry you. The 2 months that usually do the most damage, August and September, haven't even started yet. So today, we're going to walk through exactly how close Oregon is to breaking its own record, which fires are pushing the numbers this high, what's happening one state over in Washington, and what the forecast says is coming next. Let's get into it. Right now, there are more than 30 large, uncontained fires burning across Oregon, and together, the big ones alone account for over 1.1 million acres. More than 12,000 people are out there right now trying to contain them. A public information officer with the Oregon Department of Forestry summed up the mood pretty simply this week. It's rare to see this many acres burn this early, and the traditionally worst stretch of the season is still ahead of us. That's really the whole story in one sentence. Normally, Oregon's fire season builds toward its worst point in late summer. This year, the state is already near record territory before that peak has even arrived. For a sense of scale, Oregon's entire 2021 fire season, start to finish, burned about 827,000 acres. This year has already burned roughly double that, and July isn't even over. It took Oregon a full season to reach the 1.93 million acre mark back in 2024. This time around, the state is closing in on that same number with 2 of the most dangerous fire months still on the calendar. So let's get into the specific fires actually driving this. The newest one to watch is the Grasshopper Fire in Wasco County, which just triggered an emergency declaration. It's already grown past 18,000 acres with zero containment, and crews are focused on protecting the small towns of Pine Hollow and Wamick. The state fire marshal invoked the Emergency Conflagration Act on this one, which pulls in extra out-of-state resources. Forest Service crews on the ground describe fuel conditions there as exceptionally dry, even by the standards of a region that's always dry this time of year. And note that the dryness is arriving earlier than usual this season. Then there's Oregon's largest active fire, a complex burning in Wheeler County that's grown to roughly 300,000 acres and is sitting at about 39% contained. Crews have spent recent days reinforcing control lines to keep it from pushing further into nearby communities. There's better news out of a complex in Gilliam County, which has burned around 190,000 acres, but is now about 90% contained, a big jump from earlier in the month. Even in a record-setting season, it's a reminder that individual fires can still be brought under control. A fire in Jefferson County near Sisters has burned roughly 27,000 acres and sits at just 10% containment, and it's drawing heavy resource attention because of how close it is to residential areas. Over in Crook County, a fire is in much better shape at 77% contained after crews took advantage of favorable weather to lock down large stretches of the perimeter. Another fire is holding steady at 50% containment, trending the right direction, even as the statewide total keeps climbing. One of the tougher ones right now is a Jefferson County fire that's burned past 60,000 acres, but is only 3% contained. With crews using controlled burns to build lines along the northwest edge and spending both days and nights trying to hold what's already been built, a separate fire nearby sits around 6% contained, with crews watching closely as dry conditions persist. Beyond the fires with names attached, evacuation orders remain active across multiple counties in central and eastern Oregon, and residents on the Warm Springs Reservation have already had to leave as fires threaten the area. It's worth pausing on what containment percentage actually means, because it trips a lot of people up. It doesn't measure how much of the fire is out. It measures how much of the fire's perimeter has a secured control line around it. A fire can sit at a low containment number for days without growing much if crews are holding that line successfully. But it also means a fire at 3% containment still has almost its entire perimeter unsecured, which is exactly why protecting structures is the top priority there. The human toll behind these numbers is significant. Roughly 6,200 people are currently under Level 3 Go Now evacuation orders across Oregon, with another 26,000 or so under lower-level notices. That's over 32,000 Oregonians whose daily lives are being directly disrupted right now. Oregon's Environmental Quality Agency has an air quality advisory active across 13 counties, spanning Baker, Crook, Gilliam, Grant, Harney, Jefferson, Malheur, Morrow, Umatilla, Union, Wallowa, Wasco, and Wheeler. And in some of those areas, air quality has actually reached unhealthy levels. Officials are telling people to keep kids indoors when smoke is heavy and to limit outdoor activity, and anyone with a heart or lung condition is being urged to stick closely to their doctor's guidance during these smoke events. On the ground, task forces have been working through roughly 170 homes in threatened areas, coordinating with wildland crews to figure out which structures can realistically be protected given the resources available. It's described less as firefighting in the abstract and more as block-by-block triage. Travel has gotten harder too. Highway 26 has seen repeated closures for safety, with equipment and crews working directly alongside the road in multiple stretches. And the State Transportation Department is recommending anyone traveling through Central or Eastern Oregon check road conditions before they leave, since closures can pop up with almost no warning. Smoke has become its own storyline this season. It's been visible in towns well outside the fire lines themselves, cutting visibility on highways and pushing air quality into unhealthy territory for communities that aren't anywhere near the flames. Officials note conditions can flip fast within a single day as wind direction changes, so a town with clear skies in the morning can be smoked in by afternoon. Oregon isn't dealing with this alone. Just across the border, Washington is having its own rough season, and the two states' situations are connected since smoke and firefighting resources don't respect a state line. The biggest fire burning there right now started from a lightning strike near Nespelem on the Colville Reservation and has burned roughly 126,000 acres, with containment at about 16%. Forecasts calling for warmer, drier, windier weather in the days ahead could make that harder to contain. A Level 3 evacuation order is in effect for part of that fire area. Beyond that single fire, wildfires have burned across roughly 200 square miles of eastern Washington this month. At least 7 homes have been destroyed, and more than 1,000 residents have been evacuated at various points. Smoke has blanketed towns including Moses Lake, Quincy, and Soap Lake, and it's even drifted into Spokane from fires burning to the northwest. Red flag warnings have been almost constant across eastern Washington this month, with triple-digit heat and wind repeatedly raising the risk of new fire starts. It's the same basic pattern showing up in both states: dry lightning sparking new fires, followed by hot, low humidity conditions that let them spread before crews can get ahead of them. Zoom out further, and this fits into a much bigger national picture. The country is currently at National Preparedness Level 5, the highest level on the scale, meaning firefighting resources everywhere are stretched about as thin as they get. Nationally, more than 43,000 fires have burned over 4.5 million acres so far this year, with roughly 26,000 firefighters and support personnel engaged right now. To help close the gap, dozens of incident management specialists from Australia and New Zealand have been brought in to support U.S. operations, which is a notable level of international mobilization on its own. On the aerial side, military C-130 aircraft fitted with modular airborne firefighting systems have also been activated, flying out of Klamath Falls, Oregon, with additional aircraft from Air National Guard units supporting operations out of California. This kind of military air support typically only gets activated when the civilian wildland firefighting fleet is stretched thin enough that federal officials decide extra capacity is needed. And that's clearly where things stand right now. If you live anywhere near these fire zones in Oregon or Washington, stay tuned to your county sheriff's office and follow official evacuation guidance closely. Keep a go bag ready with essential documents, medications, and supplies. Know your evacuation zone number and have more than one route out of your neighborhood mapped if you can. Don't wait for a Level 3 Go Now order to start moving if you're seeing a Level 2 notice. That's your signal to start getting the household ready. For the most current information, check your county sheriff's office and official weather sources directly, since containment numbers and evacuation levels can shift within hours, sometimes because of a wind shift that gives almost no warning.